I'm a massive fan of Halloween because I think it's really valuable that we have a holiday at least once a year that we can acknowledge that everyone gets scared. But for kids, everything in the world is kind of scary, and I think Halloween can sometimes take that too far. But as much as Halloween scares kids, it's something that they love even more. Maybe it's something to do with the dress up and the candy. I mean, I know that's why I like it to a certain extent. So if you have kids, or maybe little brothers or sisters, or maybe you have some family visiting for Halloween, here's a list of 5 movies which I think are perfectly family friendly, but a little bit spooky. Number 1, Hocus Pocus. This is an absolute classic of the genre for me. It was one of the few videotapes that my dad had when I was a kid. We only used to see him once a week because my parents are divorced, but I'd go over there on a weekend and we basically just watched that movie almost every weekend. Max Dennison moves from busy Los Angeles to sleepy Salem and accidentally revives 3 witches while trying to impress the girl he likes. The witches adjust to living in the 20th century by enchanting a Halloween dance and resurrecting a zombie henchman while trying to steal the life force of the kids. Featuring star turns from Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker and Kathy Najimy, this film is directed by High School Musical's Kenny Ortega, so you know it's safe for kids, and it perfectly straddles the line between spooky and fun. It's a little bit scary, but not too scary. So if you have a little sister who's dressing up as a witch this Halloween, perfect movie for you. Number 2, Paranorman. From the amazing animators who brought you Coraline and The Nightmare Before Christmas, Paranorman is a story about a kid who's a little bit different from the others, because he can see ghosts. But when a distant uncle warns him of a coming threat, Norman becomes enveloped in an adventure with zombies, witches and ghosts. Paranorman's art design and visuals are great, and the plot clips along fast enough to keep kids hooked with silly jokes and sight gags. But underneath the fast-paced action and horror, Paranorman has a believable and important message about what it's like to be different, especially when you're growing up. It's one I could have done with when I was a kid. So if you have a weird little cousin, this is the movie for him. Number 3, Beetlejuice. A young couple die in a tragic accident, and as spirits are unable to move on. That is, until a horrible yuppie couple moves in, and the ghosts decide that enough is enough. They enlist the help of a spirit called Beetlejuice, who's going to try and kick the mortals out of the house. But when the ghosts develop a soft spot for Lydia, the teenage daughter of the couple, they decide they don't want Beetlejuice to help so much after all. Unfortunately, getting rid of Beetlejuice is harder than they expected. There are a lot of scares here, and a few off-colour jokes courtesy of Michael Keaton's Beetlejuice. But Tim Burton has always been a very imaginative director, and that combined with the fact he doesn't like talking down to the audience makes this a really strong choice for the kids. They'll be talking about it for a while after they watch it. Number 4, Halloweentown. A young girl discovers she's descended from a long line of witches and drags her little brother and sister onto a magic bus to Halloweentown where their grandmother lives to find out more. But Halloweentown's changing. Previously a place of joy and magic where all kinds of different monsters and magical creatures can coexist with each other, something is corrupting it, turning the monsters scary. I say scary, there's actually very few scares in this film, almost none at all, apart from maybe the appearance of some of the monsters and the bad guy might be a little bit difficult for some of the very young kids to deal with. But if mum and dad are in the same room, this movie is a very safe choice. It's really for the young kids. And the best thing about it is that while it's not scary at all, it's very festive, so they won't feel left out of the Halloween fun. Number 5, The Witches. A young boy takes a seaside holiday with his grandmother, only to discover that the hotel they're staying in is actually hosting a convention of evil witches. Luckily, Grandma used to be a witch hunter, so when something goes dreadfully wrong and it turns out the witches have an evil plan, the pair fight back. This movie has a really strong atmosphere and some very visceral effect sequences, particularly a young boy being turned into a mouse, and the reveal of what witches really look like under their masks. Angelica Houston is amazing as the Grand High Witch and really hams it up. But some scenes are definitely scary, so this one will spook the kids for a few days after. Just make sure you get the European version because the US one tacks on a boring happy ending. So there's 5 movies that are safe for kids this Halloween. There's a lot of films I wanted to put on the list, but I just didn't have time. So if you have a favourite that's not there, please put it in the comments for everyone else to have a look at. And one more thing, I don't actually have any kids, although I do have a little sister who I've watched a lot of scary stuff with, and she's a complete scaredy cat, so I probably have been quite safe with this. That said, I'm not a parent, so do watch the films before you show them to the kids. Have a happy Halloween, see you next video.